Taiwan's moderate climate and abundant supply of underground water allow the island's aquaculture farmers to grow eels in large outdoor pools, a setting closest to the fish's natural environment. In the 1950s, Taiwan started exporting elvers, or young eels, caught along its west coast to aquaculture operators in Japan. 17 years later, Japanese fish farming know-how was used to establish the island's first breeding operations in central Taiwan's Changhua County, using elvers caught locally and imported from Japan. Taiwan's industry started to take off, a process further hastened by technological developments in this field. With the island a leading supplier to Japan in the 1980s and early 1990s, its share of the market reached an all-time high of 70% in 1993, contributing $605 million to Taiwan's economy. By 2007, eel was the nation's #1 farmed fish in terms of export value, accounting for 13.3% that year. This was followed by tilapia at 5.3% and milkfish at 1.3%. Today, a total of 2,313 hectares is dedicated to eel farming, with more than 90% of production shipped to Japan. There are 4 common farm species of eel: longfin eel and the shortfin eel, found in brackish and fresh waters of Australia and New Zealand, and are the most commonly farmed species in the countries. European eel, found in fresh and brackish water in the UK, Ireland, Mediterranean, Northern Africa, the Baltic Sea, and Iceland up to mid-Norway. American eel, found in brackish and fresh water on the eastern side of the United States, the southeast of Canada and the Gulf of Mexico. Japanese eel, most common in the fresh and brackish waters of Japan, Korea, China and Taiwan. This eel is particularly suited to pond cultivation in these countries as they are naturally acclimatized to higher water temperatures. Young Japanese eels enter rivers in small shoals from February to May, and ascend to the upper reaches of rivers and mountain lakes. After several years in freshwater and with the onset of sexual maturity, the eels migrate downstream and enter the sea from August to October. However, some Japanese eels have never entered freshwater. In fact, 3 different categories of eels are found, each with a different migratory history: river eels, estuarine eels and sea eels. Anguilla japonica has a flexible pattern of migration, with an ability to adapt to various habitats and salinities. The production of eels is based on wild catches of glass eels, elvers, that are used for further on-growing. Glass eels and elvers are best cultured in indoor tanks before being moved into grow-out facilities. Grow-out of elvers to market size can be achieved in either tank systems or earthen ponds. Seed supply. Glass eels are captured around the shores of China, Taiwan Province of China, the Republic of Korea and Malaysia. and are either used nationally or exported to eel farmers in other countries. At first, the glass eels, approximately 0.2 grams each, are kept in smaller tanks of 80 to 100 cubic meters for quarantine purposes. The density at this stage is 0.3 to 0.5 kilograms per cubic meter. Water temperature is kept stable at 25 to 29 degrees Celsius. The eels are examined for diseases and, following diagnosis, treated. They are also weaned onto artificial diets with bloodworm and later on, dry starter feed. With larger tanks, 300 to 600 cubic meters, at stocking densities of 0.8 to 1 kilogram per square meter. At this point the eels can digest dry feed pellets 1 millimeter. The traditional form of eel culture in the People's Republic of China is in earthen ponds, which should be constructed on non-porous soils. It is possible to line ponds so that they do not leak, however, the costs of construction are higher. Ponds range in size from 3,000 to 5,000 square meters, and are 1 to 1.5 to 2.0 meters deep. When eels reach marketable size, they are transferred to larger ponds, 5,000 to 10,000 square meters. The ponds may be static or flow through. The best temperature range in ponds is 20 to 30 degrees Celsius. Individual growth rates vary substantially. Grading every 5 weeks is necessary in order to reach a high overall growth performance. Eel feeds are high carbohydrate, about 22%, and have a high fish meal content, 65 to 70%, and crude protein level of 50%. Besides fish meal, other common ingredients are yeast, wheat, soybean meal, starch, corn, decalcium phosphate, vegetable or animal fat, and trace mineral and vitamin premixes. Most eels, approximately 95% or more, are fed powdered feeds, and are fed 2 to 3 times daily. As the powdered feeds are dry, water and fish oil are added to the mixture and the mixture is passed through a milling machine on farm. In the People's Republic of China, there are more than 100 feeds mills that produce a total of 350,000 tons of eel feed. Eels are harvested at a weight varying from 150 grams to several kilograms, depending on the target market. Feeding is stopped a minimum of 1 to 2 days before harvesting. Harvesting can be carried out by draining the pond, using a seine net, or, at feeding time, using a scoop net. The eels are then sorted into different sizes using a grading system. Eels that have not reached market size are returned to the rearing tanks for further on-growing. After harvesting, eels are rapidly sorted into different sizes, using grading systems. The eels are then placed in holding tanks for several days without feed to purge their stomachs. They are chilled and then packed into strong plastic bags with just enough water to ensure that their skin remains moist. Ice is for weakening the activity of eels, and by reducing oxygen consumption. It preserves the original quality of eel meat and strengthens the vitality of eels leaving the country. The bags are then filled with oxygen and transported to the market. If they are destined for processing, they are transported live to the processing plant. Most of the eels sent to Japan with the experience of professional staff and skillful broadcasting. An important food fish in China and Japan, it is the most expensive food fish in Japan. Japanese eels have been introduced elsewhere: Cambodia, Thailand, Brazil. Utilized fresh, smoked, canned and frozen, but no production has yet been reported to FAO. Eels are eaten steamed, broiled, and smoked. The major eel-consuming countries are Japan, the Republic of Korea, China, other Southeast Asian countries, the EU, USA and Canada. The major eel products are smoked eels, fresh eels and frozen eels, of which smoked eels account for 98%. Japan is the largest consumer of eel products in the world. For example, this country reported that 60,000 tons of canned eels were imported in 2002. Whereas the People's Republic of China reported canned eel exports of nearly 67,000 tons and Taiwan Province of China nearly 5,700 tons. The annual fresh eel consumption of the Republic of Korea is 10,000 to 13,000 tons, mainly originating from the People's Republic of China and Taiwan Province of China. At present, the Japanese market is nearly saturated, but potential for expansion remains in other markets such as the Republic of Korea, Europe, etc. The cost of glass eels (elvers) varies significantly depending on annual catches and the interest from other eel producers. The price of Japanese glass eels has risen enormously. Sometimes they cost well over 10,000 United States dollars per kilogram. The eel farmers of the People's Republic of China produce eels considerably more cheaply than in other producing countries. Whereas production costs in there are $3.06 to $4.02 per kilogram, they are $4.02 to $5.06 per kilogram in Taiwan Province of China and $8.40 per kilogram in Japan.